Just trying to be fair.
That's right.
Trying to be fair. We're about a week away from free agency. Really, the chaos is going to start this weekend. Tags have to come down by 4:00 today, I do believe, and next Wednesday it opens up, so you get some legal tampering coming up over the weekend.
Nice.
So let's get after it.
My favorite kind of tampering is the legal tampering. Yeah, everything else is just very, very suspect. So, Tom, why don't you? We've read a lot of intel and information and various nuggets reporting on the combine and the buzz coming out of the combine. What's the number one piece of intel you have on the Patriots coming out of Indianapolis?
It's going to be player related because I think we've beat to a pulp the Elliott Wolf, Mike Vrabel conversation. But to me, I think that two player conversations are fun to have right now. One is Will Campbell. Will the Patriots do so poorly at the tackle position in free agency that they are forced to draft for need? And people like to say, take the best player available. That is a luxury type of mindset and philosophy. You can take the best player available if you actually have humans at the top of your depth chart who are of NFL caliber. So the Patriots may not have that because Ronnie Stanley is nearing an extension with the Ravens, which was reported by Jeremy Fowler. He said it would, from ESPN, could happen in the next couple of days in the $21 to $23 million range. Patriots should blow him out of the water if he gets there, but he may not get there. So if that doesn't happen, you're left with Cam Robinson, Morgan Moses. Robinson's a starter. Morgan Moses is more of a temp. So I would say that they still have to draft for need. If you can fill it, you do get Ronnie Stanley or you do get maybe Cam Robinson, then you can go ahead and take your chance on Travis Hunter and understand that he is the Lamar Jackson of this draft. So that's one thing. My second thing, guys, I would try and explore a trade with the Raiders, sending Joe Milton out there in exchange for Jacoby Myers, who is on the last year of his contract, making $10 million. I'd bring Jacoby Myers in here ASAP and give him an extension, paying him about $15 to $18 million a year.
Now, if they did bring in Jacoby Myers, would there still be need for another receiver? Because I like Jacoby Myers. I think most people like Jacoby Myers, but I don't know how many people love Jacoby Myers. So would that be okay? That would be in addition to someone else.
I think they should love him. I think they should love him because he is an 80 catch a year guy who's probably going to get you 965 yards and 4 to 5 touchdowns. So that's not it. But the best throw that May makes, I'm sure both of you will agree, is down the right sideline, between the hash and the sideline on the boundary, and that's not a Jacoby Myers route. It's really not a Keyshawn Boutte route, although he's the one running it. Certainly not a Demario Douglas route. They don't have somebody to run that route. So you still have to find it, whether it's a T. Higgins, not going to happen. A DK Metcalf doesn't want it to happen. Brandon Ayuk can't happen until after January 1st, and he doesn't want it to happen. Or somebody in the draft. You need somebody outside the hash who can run that route for Drake May.
Is, with all the different receiver names that are out there and T. Higgins getting tagged and, potential trade options, is the dream dead for A.J. Brown? I know he just won the Super Bowl, but he is the most connected to Mike Vrabel.
I love that.
I mean, it's a crazy offseason. Could that happen?
I love A.J. Brown, and I love the fact that you actually are sensible enough to go back to A.J. Brown instead of barking up the T. Higgins, DK Metcalf, both and Ayuk, who are just not going to happen. A.J. Brown is a much more reasonable get. Why would the Eagles divorce themselves from him? I don't know exactly but I think that's reasonable. I also think Devontae Adams and Chris Godwin are very reasonable. When Vrabel talked last week, Jonesy, about option A, B, and C, if you're the Patriots right now, who's your option A at wide receiver? I just talked about this with Phil Perry on my pod. He said that he's making Chris Godwin his option A, putting everything into him, but you should also be sending drinks over to Devontae Adams, in my estimation, because you have to pivot quick. If he goes back to Tampa, if he signs someplace else, boom, you're in on Devontae Adams. And if not, meanwhile, you're also making calls to Howie Roseman about what can we get, what can we send you for A.J. Brown.
Okay, so that's interesting. Tommy Curran on a Tommy Tuesday, NBC Sports Boston. My answer to your question, by the way, Tom, when we did this, a few weeks back, I had Metcalf 1. You say they're out on him. I had Adams too.
I'm not saying they're out. I think Metcalf's out on the Patriots.
Got it.
Didn't he say to Mina Kimes, I'm not going there, or Kay Adams?
Yeah, he did.
I'm not interested in that.
Yeah,
he was like, I forget sounds miserable or something.
Katie Nolan maybe, but he said
somebody.
Yeah, it was Katie Nolan.
Katie Nolan. It was Katie Nolan.
But he was out on the idea of coming to New England. Okay, so they're not out on him necessarily, but he's out on them. I had Adams on the list. I also had Deebo Samuel on the list. Was there any indication of the Patriots? I've not seen this reported anywhere. Their interest level in Deebo.
No, I haven't collected intel on whether or not they were tremendously interested in him. I think that when you read Tim Kawakami in the San Francisco Standard, I believe, in his input on what led to Deebo Samuel heading to Washington, basically he was kind of chubby, kind of out of shape, and his returns were diminishing precipitously. So they were okay with sending him within the conference to Washington. Should the Patriots be turning their nose up at Deebo Samuel? Maybe. If he's not staying in shape and Vrabel's going to be a big culture guy, then maybe. So I don't know specifically about Deebo Samuel, but I probably would have set my sights a little higher at this juncture.
You know, speaking of Mike Vrabel, one of the things he said at his press conference, I think it was last week, was, the hope is to have a team ready to go where they could play a game even before the draft. It's sort of, talking out some of these free agents and trade possibilities. How realistic is that? Like, are they going to be able to bring in enough kind of new bodies where they feel like they're good to go even prior to, April's draft?
I know. I hope I shoot a 73 this year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's not going to happen. It's not even going to come close to happening. Yeah. And the Patriots are in the same friggin' boat. I did my offensive line overview. Listen to how awful this is. They have 16 players took snaps on the offensive line. They have 13 players under contract right now. You got Onwenu, Andrews, Strange, Wallace, City So, Aiden Robinson, Vidarian Lowe. Of all the players who are currently under contract on their offensive line, only Onwenu would be one that you'd say he's definitely going to be on the offensive line in September. I mean, Andrews might not be. He wants to return. We'll see. He's going to be 33. Cole Strange, I mean, he's entering his fifth year.
Yeah, please.
Right? 22, 23.
Yeah.
Caden Wallace and Layden Robinson, maybe. Wallace, I would think. City So, he's already gone from projected starter last year to complete disuse. So you got nothing there. So you don't know on your offensive line. There's nothing in free agency. So wide receiver, Jalen Polk and Javon Baker are on thin ice. Kendrick Bourne is probably nobody's idea of a 2 at this point. He's a 3 at best. And there's just no way. No, there's no friggin' way. So that's why I think you're going to end up having a draft for need. Jones,
yes.
Keefe,
yes.
If you're the Patriots and you are sitting there and you're staring at Will Campbell and Travis Hunter and you don't have a tackle.
Hunter.
Travis
Hunter.
Hunter.
Do?
I'm still taking Travis Hunter.
Easy.
I like him a lot.
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy?
Yeah.
Easy.
Okay.
Well, Jones doesn't love Campbell, and I do love Hunter, so I think that way it's pretty easy in that regard.
What happens? Do you like Drake May, Adam?
Yeah.
Okay. Too bad that he got decapitated because you had to have a cornerback wide receiver.
But now he has a guy to throw to, and you can go sign left tackles. Like,
and he really didn't get decapitated last year. The two injuries he had were him as a
Tom,
runner.
You just gave names of NFL. Like, am I crazy about Cam Robinson? No. Am I crazy about Dan Moore? No. I would love Ronnie Stanley. Maybe he's available. Maybe not. Those are NFL tackles. You don't know that Will Campbell is an NFL tackle. He might be a guard. So, like, that doesn't solve your left tackle problem either.
So was Chukwuekorafo. So was Trent Brown. So was any number of guys that they cycled through. Yalta Froholt.
I know, but are you sold? Are you sold Campbell's a tackle?
Yes, 1,000,000%.
1,000,000%.
Wow. Yes, you don't succeed the way he did in the SEC at the level that he did and have the tape that he had if he is going to walk into the NFL and suck. Is he a number 4?
Like an Isaiah Wynn type.
Not really.
Travis Hunter had good tape.
But he is a first-round tackle. He's not Joe Alt. But tough. You didn't end up – you decided you wanted Drake May. God bless you, it's working out. But you could have had Joe Alt last year, and that's why you're here now saying who's going to be our tackle.
What do you make of the whole Bill Belichick was going to do Hard Knocks offseason at UNC? It seemed like it was agreed upon, and then the next thing you know, they kind of pulled the plug on it.
Following Florio on that, I find it really interesting because he talked about the amount of grumbling that was being done by ownership. Why are we giving an NFL property? Why are we billing a college coach with our NFL products? Or why are we pumping Bill Belichick's tires when how many of us has he already pissed on ownership-wise? So I think that probably bears out. You know, Bill wants to continue to do a buff and shine on his or at least was willing to allow Ken Rogers from NFL media, NFL Films, to follow him around. And what would Bill get from that? Not going to get money funneled into his pocket. He might get it into his program, but he would also continue to do a buff and shine on who he is and how he still operates at 72 years old. And the NFL said, yeah, we don't want to see that. No, we're not doing that. So I find that extremely interesting that the NFL is now actively providing roadblocks to Bill because he's actively attempting to get back into the league.
You've mentioned before. I'm sorry. Well, a guy who's not it sounds coming back into the league anytime soon, at least according to the Boston Herald. Jerod Mayo. Multiple sources told the Herald he's not interested in coaching, not expected to coach again anytime soon. What's your understanding there?
That was something that I talked about right when he was moved on from. That I wouldn't be surprised if he said, you know what? I didn't like that whole experience. Bill had to convince me back in 2018 to leave Quick Slants and come back into coaching. And I did. And this is how it went. I ended up having some success to a degree, but it also ended up being very much roiled my personal life. Just in personal life is, you know, I mean, it's just very hard, I think, for him and his family right now to be lampooned the way he was. And I think that if you look at the machinations of how he was replaced, and 1,000,000%, not to say that he didn't have plenty of reason to be replaced, but I think that he kind of got sold a bill of goods, and then being sold that bill of goods and put in a position to fail, not to succeed, he had his reputation, I think, tarnished. People who thought they had his best interests at heart, whether it be Bill or Robert Kraft, ended up leaving him a little bit damaged, I think, in multiple ways. So I'm not surprised at it because he is pretty talented in other venues. Football is not life to him, I don't think. So I'm not surprised about it.
Okay, that's Tommy Curran, NBC Sports Boston. Joins us every Tuesday on Jones and Keefe. We call it a Tom E. Tuesday. You can check out his latest, NBCBostonSports.com. Their off-season priority scale. He's been listing all the different priorities. Offensive line, is a 5 out of 5.
Everything's a 5.
Everything pretty much is a 5. That's true. They have a lot of needs. You can check out Curran's latest there. You can watch him all over NBC Sports Boston.